welcome back. Today we're going to get on this trigger thing. Try to keep it as short as I can for you. It's actually not a lot of work. You only need a few things. Let's take a look. So here is the Savage trigger. This is the Accutrigger, and I'll get some pictures in here too, just in case you take it apart and don't remember how to put it back together, so that you can have a good reference point. You will need 3 tools. A screwdriver, a standard one works fine. I have this little bent one here because it allows me to get a little leverage. And the factory Savage tool that comes with any Savage that has the Accutrigger. And a Dremel with a pad, a little polish pad. I'm going to be using this swirl mark remover. It's just kind of a medium, heavy medium rubbing compound. And all we're going to do here is there's a few areas on here that we just want to polish up, just to take any gritty feeling out of this trigger assembly. Now, it's been my experience that most Savages with the Accutriggers are, in my opinion, they're some of the best factory triggers on the market. In fact, I've owned Jewels and a Schillen trigger and a Timney trigger, and I still actually prefer the Savage trigger over all of them. And I'm not saying that the other ones are bad, because they're not. They're great triggers. They're very good triggers. It's just a personal preference thing for me. I really like the feel. The Savage Axis trigger, man, it pulls up and it just breaks like glass. Typically there's no gritty feeling or anything. Now, these are a little dirty out of the factory, so we're just take this thing, clean it up, do some polishing, make this thing it'll just run lights out. So let's get to it. Okay, so here I've got this pin pushed back in here. To get this trigger out of the action, this pin here has to be removed. I just put it in there as a reference point. So this pin comes out. There's a spring here that you will lose. It'll go flying somewhere when you pull it out of the action. And it just comes off like so. It's pretty simple. The next thing I do is, you've got your E-clip here, and all we want to do is just pop this E-clip out, and again, careful, this will go flying too. Oh, or not. So there's my E-clip. Set that off to the side. Now you get this pin here, right here. We're just going to lift this out. There's your pin there. Now this body, there's a spring in the body here. You don't need to worry about that. We're just going to leave that in there. Set that off to the side. And your Accutrigger here, this spring slides out. It stays attached to the safety portion of this Accutrigger. We're going to pull that out. There's a little notch right there, and there's a notch on this piece here, and they just slip in. If you try to pull it out in any other location, it won't pull through. So just grab that notch, slides right out, set this off to the side. Now, to adjust the Accutrigger, that's where this little tool comes in here. Slips up into this screw here, or this spring, and you can turn this spring in and out. You can take it all the way out if you want, or you can just simply screw it all the way down. If the shorter that you make this spring, the lighter the trigger pull. The more you extend that out of that body, the heavier the trigger pull gets. I prefer as light of trigger as I can get. when I had my 7mm, I had that set. I had a Schillen trigger in there set to 2 ounces. It was scary light, but it certainly didn't move the gun pulling the trigger. So So that's pull the tool back out. Now, the area that we're going to polish is right here. Now you have to be careful not to take any edges off. All we want to do is shine this up a little bit right here. So let's get the polishing pad and a little bit of compound here. We'll just polish that up. This is going to make a mess, so what I like to do is take a little paper towel and just hold it over this here and turn it on, let that stuff fly off. Gets all over the place, otherwise you'll have it in your eyeballs. So I prefer to go this way versus this way because of this sear edge here. Every once in a while, just wipe that off. You can see it's already shining up very nicely. Now you'll want to inspect this just to make sure that you're not rounding off any edges or doing anything, and you don't want to take it more than you have to. So I'm going to run that one more time. That's looking really good, nice and shiny, and just like glass. It's so smooth. So now, before we assemble this, of course, we'll clean this really well. The other thing I like to do here is on this edge here, I also want to polish this, and this is cut at an angle, so you're going to want to kind of be real careful here. One thing I want to note here is it's going to be really hard to see. I'll see if I can get a close-up shot of that, but this angle is coming this way. I want that brush, this pad here, to be coming up on this angle. So be careful the way you're spinning this thing, otherwise you're going to grind down this real nice edge here, and you don't want to do that. We're not looking to remove material, we're just looking to polish the existing material. And when this thing starts to polish, I can actually see machining marks in here. So just a little bit longer and that thing will be nice. Now that edge is nice and polished too. I can still see just a couple of machining marks in there, but it feels like glass. It doesn't hang up on your fingernail or anything. Nice and smooth. So when this is assembled and you get your two mating surfaces here with a little bit of tetra grease on there, this is just going to be so smooth and it'll break real nice. You won't have any kind of a gritty feel or anything. So it's really as simple as that. The other thing I do is these things here come with a bunch of grease on this tip. I get rid of that grease. Well, I'm going to get rid of all the grease, all the factory grease on this trigger, and with a combination of just some Rem oil and Tetragon, or the Tetra grease, this stuff right here, this stuff here works wonders. So we'll be using some of this. We'll also put, you know, any moving piece, just a touch, right? Just a tiny bit. A little bit goes a long way. So any piece in here that moves, and I'll coat all the pins with just a tiny bit of this, wipe it in and just kind of wipe it off. You don't want you don't want globs of grease. You just want to coat it. So when we before we assemble it, we'll do that, but we still have a lot of work to do. Still waiting on the stock and the barrel and all kinds of stuff. But these are the main two points of contact here that you're really concerned about, just because it'll just make this trigger so much nicer. And then of course the adjustment for the trigger pull that you so desire. So anyways, simple as that. So it's really not hard to do. It's quite simple. These triggers are extremely basic, real easy to work with, all the pieces. There's not a lot of pieces. So I'm going to get these things cleaned up, and when we get ready to assemble this gun, once we have all our parts, the stock and the barrel and the recoil lug, I'll show you how to assemble this, where to put the Tetra grease, and the rim oil. Well, the rim oil basically is just kind of coat everything, just a real thin layer, so that's pretty simple. I would use some caution if you're going to use a rubbing compound. Don't go too heavy with it. Don't go with a real high grit. Again, you're not looking to remove material. You're simply looking to polish what already is there. So that's basically it. Pretty simple stuff. So I hope this helps you out. And again, we'll continue on as this build process goes and I start getting parts. And I did order the stock. I went with the Boyd's Pro Varmint adjustable comb in the pepper laminate. So should be pretty nice. We'll get that glass bedded and stuff. I think what I'll probably wind up doing is just screwing on the old barrel to the action just for now, so I can get that set into the stock, so I can get this action all bedded into that stock while we're patiently waiting for the barrel to come. We also have a lot of work to do with I got to get some brass. We got to look up some loads because this is an Ackley improved chamber, so there's a lot more coming. A lot of different little things that we're going to have to figure out and see if we can make this work. So anyways, folks, thanks for watching. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. More importantly, share it. And we are a Patreon, so if you'd like to help support the channel, I'll leave a link below. And no big deal if you don't. I totally understand. So biggest thing is give it a thumbs up and share it. So we'll see you soon.